This is Extreme Rock Radio, and we are glad to be part of this Bigfoot Festival, 2024 Forest County Bigfoot Festival. Do we have all the believers here today, or what? All right. I'm going to introduce to you the MC for today, Mike Famelot. Mike has been researching Bigfoot for over 13 years and has captured some impressive evidence along the way. From the Florida swamps to the North Country of Maine and everywhere in between, Mike is a full-time lead investigator and producer of the show In the Shadow of the Big Red Eye. Mike Famelot.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I appreciate it. How is everybody doing tonight? Today, I should say. Forest County, right? Let's give us a round of applause. Here we are at the Bigfoot Festival. Guys, I don't have a funny story for today. I apologize. I was telling funny stories all day yesterday, and I don't have a funny story for today. I know. Dave Wargo has been a researcher for 50 years after his first sighting in 1974. He's appeared on Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, Booney's Film Festival, I've Seen Bigfoot, and has participated in dozens of podcasts, festivals, and speaking engagements about his experience and sightings, as well as stories relayed to him by others over the years of their experiences regarding Bigfoot, UFOs, and cryptid and paranormal activity. Guys, I give you David Wargo!
Boy, that's a good intro. I like that. First, I want to thank, I don't see him around here, but Dave Yaney, and I believe it's his compatriot is Susie, who organized this festival, and it's like a two-person job, and they do a fantastic job, and I wanted to thank them for letting me be here. So they wanted me to speak not so much on the Bigfoot stuff. I'll touch on that if you want. I'll take questions too. But they wanted me to kind of concentrate on some of the weird stuff that we see and encounter while we're out in the woods late at night. And a lot of stuff does not make sense. You know, the UFO activity, spirit lights. I have very little ghost activity. What I think was a ghost, I don't know what they were. We see things and that we cannot explain. It's funny because I was on Finding Bigfoot, and Cliff's not here today, but he was here yesterday, and we got a kind of an argument about, he's a scientist, and he believes that us talking about what we see in the woods besides Bigfoot dilutes the scientific study, which he might be right. But I told him, I said, you're standing right here right now, and I can see 6 people, not including me, that has experienced the same things that I just told him about, and which I'm going to tell you about. So I says, it's part of it. It's part of it. We don't know what it is. I don't know. I believe a Bigfoot or these creatures are a real breathing creature. I found their hair. I found their poop. I work with a guy who'll be here later. His name is Todd Smith. He is we have a table back here behind the bank. Come over, let me show you some of the stuff that we got. So he's a DNA guy. I met him here 2 years ago, and I says, you have to come with me. I have this fantastic area. I can't believe this is happening, but it's a really good area. So basically, this area where I stayed last night, actually, and we had activity last night. We were surrounded by the whistlers, and they were doing like whistle vocalizations, calling to each other. So I started whistling at them. I had a few responses, and I think they figured out, wait a minute, that's not a Bigfoot, that's that idiot sitting over there by the fire. So they stopped. And I don't know if Todd captured it on his phone or not. Unfortunately, I'm technically challenged. I live in a log cabin in the woods now, on 80 acres in the National Forest area. And this is my outside connection to the world here, a good old flip phone. And it hardly works at all. I can make phone calls and texts, but other than that, that's pretty much it. So I tell everybody that when they get a hold of me, they have to call me on the telephone and I'll talk their ears off. So last night, like I said, we had the whistler there, and I haven't called the people yet that live there. It's an older couple. they had this activity, and these things come into their house. I can tell you that Bigfoots are peepers. They love looking in the windows. Seen it several times. In fact, most of our DNA material comes off of windows in the form of slobber, snot, and they're a monkey like we are. So we have oil on our skin, and it's called sebum. So when the police are looking, you do something, and they're looking for fingerprints, that's what they're looking for, that oil on your skin leaves fingerprints, and also leaves DNA. So we take Todd, I should say, I'm gonna give Todd credit. I'm just an old guy that's been stumbling around the woods for 50 years, seeing strange stuff, tracking these things, finding their nests and poop and hair and all that stuff. But anyways, this place that's up here in the National Forest is pretty unique. We got 3 of them that hang around there. These people have lived there for 10 years. I've known them for 6. I've been going there for 6 years. Every time I go there, I am just totally awed at what goes on. I don't know how to explain it. They're there and then they're gone. I'm starting to believe now that it might have something to do with the Native American legends. They believe, on the whole, you take all the tribes that we know the history and lore of, and they believe that a Sasquatch is a creature that can go from the spiritual world to our world and back again. Now, this is them. They've been they're documented for over 18 or 1,000 years, 800 to 1,000 years back. We got some cave paintings in Nevada. I believe there's some up in the Canadian Rockies also that date back that far. Pictures of them, pretty good renditions of them. So they've been talking about these creatures forever. Some tribes believe that they are just another tribe of Indians. They're supposedly, I don't know how true this is, but when Lewis and Clark were going out west and they were encountering Indian tribes, so they approach them and give them gifts and approach them peacefully. Well, anyways, there's supposed to be a sergeant, and I don't remember his name, but allegedly his diary talks about an encounter with these big, hairy, hostile Indians. So they see these Indians, and they, we got a tie down here. We got a wind coming. So they saw these Indians, and they tried approaching them, and they would retreat, and they would throw rocks and sticks at them. And then they come in at them, so they fired their guns in the air, and the things retreated, and basically stood up on a hilltop and was screaming and yelling at them. So a lot of people believe that it wasn't an Indian tribe, that it was actually a family or a clan of Bigfoot. So there's little mentions all through history. They're not clear, but so with that being said, some of the weird stuff here, like I said last night, was the whistlers. I haven't called the old people yet, and I shouldn't call them old people because they're my age. I'm 66. But when I was leaving this morning, I noticed on their garden thing there was a skull, a deer skull or something, sitting on her flower bed. She's got like railroad ties around there, and there's a skull sitting there. I don't remember being there last night, so it might be a gift. These guys are great gifters. I'm sworn to secrecy. There's just about 4 of us researchers that go there, and I'm the one that fell into this. I should say fell into it, and I carefully choose who I want to go there. And basically, it is we don't want them hurt, and they're there all the time. And it's only like 20-minute drive from here. It's in the National Forest. That's all I'm going to say. I did some research, and I found that all through this area, there's old coal mines, and there's like half a dozen coal mines within a 6-mile radius of this area where these things are appearing. And these coal mines were last worked. I think the last one was shut down in 1900. And for most of them are blocked. There's one coal mine that's right here in Marienville that nobody knows about, and I'm not going to say where it's at, but there's over 6 miles of tunnels. Now, so it's closed, and I guess the local kids like getting in there and running around and doing what kids do best, trying to kill themselves. So it's closed off. But coal mines usually had air shafts coming in. So there's holes. Sure, the main entrance may be closed, but there might be open shafts that you can get up and down in. And I'm sure there's some locals around here who can tell you how to do it. But I believe these creatures, we have all year round activity here in this, or in the national forest here. And I believe that the coal mine phenomenon is part of the draw for this area. I live about 30 miles north of here, in a little town called Akeley. It's not even really a town anymore, but I get activity occasionally. They come through. Most of my activity is during when the crops are ripe, because I'm coming to farm country. When the corn's ready to eat, or start getting in the ears where you can eat it. And then my yard is basically a 6-acre lawn with 400 trees in it. And I keep it that way. It's a lot of work, but it looks like a park. I have 72 apple trees in my yard. And when the apples come in, all the critters come, including the big, hairy, scary ones. And that's when I get my activity up there. But this area where we're at, if you come over to the table over there, I'll show you a picture of the best track I ever found. It's a snow track. And at the time, I did not have the capability to cast a snow track. But I ran into another one of our fellow researchers. This guy's from Toronto, Canada. Southern Ontario Bigfoot is his organization. Him and his boys came down here. Met him at a gathering. And he's our audio / cameraman. So we have this place that's loaded with game cameras now for 4 years. We haven't got one picture on a game camera. And we come to believe that they can sense the EMFs coming off like a battery pack or something, because they totally avoid them. He's got the whole back of the house pretty well covered. And so what's been doing lately has been coming around to the front of the house, and it's what we call the witching hours between midnight and 4 a.m. is usually when they come in. They're a very fun bunch. They like to play tricks and stuff. We believe that there's at least one juvenile in the 3 that hang around there. We have, I named him. We have Blackie. He's about a 9-foot tall black one. And we have Brownie, who's of course brown. I mean, these really hard names. Brownie is about 7.5, maybe 7.5 feet, maybe 8 foot tall. And then we have Whitey. Now, I've gotten a good look at Blackie several times as he moves through the woods. The best way for me to describe him is, you see these shadow cutouts that they sell, you know, they got the Bigfoot on the plywood thing. That's what we see going through the woods. Usually just about dark. And you watch the woods, you're watching very carefully, and you'll see a shadow go zipping over here from tree to tree, and they'll come all around us. And that's those, you know, that's the best way to describe it. And I think that's why everybody makes those cutouts, because when they're moving through the woods, that's what they look like. You don't really go to, well, at least where we're at, it's kind of a dark woods, and we just see shadows moving. I do have the lady that owns the house. We did get one clear photograph, and I give her credit for being so brave. She saw one moving along a pine tree line that goes along the driveway, and she saw it coming, and she marched out there with her, I guess you call it a tablet, took about 40 pictures of it, and only one turned out, and I have a copy of that over there. And can't see much. Some people look at that and they don't see them, but I can point stuff out to them, they kind of see. But she's only 30, 40 foot away, and she took these pictures, and it's really cool because that's the only picture we got. And the best way for me to describe this creature, you guys know who E.T. is, right? The space alien. Its head, parts that you can see from the chin up, basically, his head is kind of shaped like E.T. And he's got a flat nose, and he's black, and he has black eyes. That's Blackie. So I get there 2 days later, she called me, oh my God, you gotta see this picture I got, blah, 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 blah. So I go running over there, At the time, I was still working part-time. And so I got over there 2 days later, took one of my buddies with me, checking things out. We couldn't really find any good tracks and imprints because it was in heavy pine tree needles. But anyways, 8 foot 6 inches to his eye. That's why I'm estimating Blackie to be about 9 feet tall. Brownie, we believe it's a female because the lady claims she saw it carrying a baby one time, a little furry thing, and she's pretty sure it was a baby. Then about 2 years later, one of the neighbors come over and said, who's got a chimpanzee around here? You know, it's like, what are you talking about? So I had a chimpanzee run across the road in front of me. He says, describe him, please. He goes, he's about this tall, and he looked, you know, like the chimpanzees you see on TV, you know, kids shows and stuff. And he come right across the road in front of me. I almost hit him. So I'm thinking, so in 2 years, this little baby that the woman's seen grew up into chimpanzee-sized little one. So it might be a home area. I don't know. Whitey now, I only seen him one time. I was going through the woods, and he took off running, and all I seen was a dirty white furry thing, and they run faster than the bear. That's all I can tell you. I mean, the thing is, it's gone. It's like, what was that? You know, I never seen a white one, but if you go on the internet, you'll see people claim to see white ones. We have hair from that one. We got some gray hair, so it's like a dirty white kind of gray. That one also comes up and looks in the windows around the house. Like I said, we have some prints, and we took DNA and snot off of, and slobber, and they haven't hurt anybody. I've been on the other side of a multifloral rose bush from one, I'd say about 15 feet away, and it took off on me. I know this is going to sound really weird, but I believe the Indians believe that they were a very peaceful tribe. They don't usually get mean unless you mess with them, or they're babies, of course, like anything else. There is one tribe that believes that they were meat eaters. The Senecas have, I'm also kind of a historian. The Senecas have a legend of the Battle of the Stone Giants, which was a group of Bigfoot that were man-eaters back in the 1500s, up near where I live, near the Kinzua Dam. And so basically what happened was all the local tribes in the area were, and it only attacked lone warriors or children that would wander too far away. They would disappear. And supposedly they tracked them down and found out where their village was, where they were staying in a little valley. They called them stone giants because their weapons were impervious to the Bigfoot. They would shoot arrows at them. And at the time this was going on, I'm not quite sure that they had a good source of flint, but they were using the early arrows. They used to harden. They would just put them in a fire and fire harden them. So they don't penetrate very good, but they work for deer and stuff. So anyways, their weapons like arrows would bounce off them. The Seneca, their favorite weapon was the war club. They loved hand-to-hand combat in close. And of course, you're beating on an 800-pound, 9-foot-tall animal with a war club. You might put some bruises on them, but you're not going to bring them down. So anyways, all the Indians got together, made a bunch of arrows. And from what the stories say, there's like 1,000 Indians got around this Bigfoot encampment, and they just rained arrows down to them and killed all of them. And that was the end of the cannibalistic Bigfoots. But that's basically in a shell. There's a lot of other stuff I left out of there. But so, anyways, with that being said, I've never been bluff charged. Several of my colleagues have been bluff charged in other areas. Think of like a bluff bear charge, or a good example would be a gorilla bluff charge. They'll come roaring, screaming, yelling at you, run up right to you, and they stop. And so there's been stories of hunters shooting them and then totally disappearing. This comes into the Indian thing where they believe they can go from the spiritual world to our world back again. And if you're listening to what they're saying they're interdimensional. Kind of believing in that too now. Although I had one experience up by Warren. We had one, their favorite pastime in the winter up here is raiding chicken coops. And also in Ohio too, I have to say, it happened several times out there when I lived out there. Chicken coops and rabbit pins. They love chicken and they love rabbit. And this was the weirdest one, was about 4 years ago. Bigfoot opened a man door, walked into a barn, because that's where they had the rabbits. Something had to manipulate the cage locks, you know, like a barrel lock. Opened that up, took 4 rabbits out of there. So they were thinking, you know, hey, come over and look at this. Look at these big tracks. So I'm tracking this, me and my buddy, the ex-Navy SEAL, we're tracking this thing in the snow. Tracks weren't very pristine or anything, but you could tell it was a big track. It wasn't a boot. You could see some toe prints now and then. And we're tracking this thing, and so it goes into a woods about 1/8 of a mile away from the house. We find 4 rabbit heads. I don't know why, we just found the heads. There was very little hair. So we're thinking, I'm thinking it twisted off the heads and maybe chucked them down, or it had a rabbit snack, you know. But that's all we found was the 4 heads. So it goes through the woods and then goes out the other side, and it's in a big field, maybe 1/2 mile by 1/2 mile round, you know, or it's on a hilltop. So we're tracking these tracks through the snow, and it goes into the middle of this field. There's no trees around us for 500, 600 feet. It goes in the middle of this field, and the tracks stop. Just step, we're gone. What just happened? So I'm a pretty decent tracker. So I'm thinking the old Indian trick where you step back in your tracks, back step. But usually when that happens, especially in snow, you have the flip from the snow when you're doing that. A good tracker will catch that. Bad tracker won't catch that. So me and this other guy, he's from West by God, Virginia, grew up barefooted running around the woods. He's the ex-Navy SEAL guy. He's a really good tracker too. We could not figure it out. So what happened to this thing? Did his buddy come and pick him up with a spaceship? Or did he say, well, I got a full belly, I'm gonna go over in this dimension. Click, it's gone. And there's also old stories of hunters being bluff charged or charged by these things, and they pull up their gun and blam, and the thing's only like 20 or 30 feet away, and it disappears. And there's nothing left of it. And we don't know what happened. This is what happened. This thing was coming at me, coming through the trees, breaking trees. Here's the broken trees. When I shot it, it was gone. So what does the Bigfoot say? Oh, this is gonna hurt. I'm out of here, click. And then, you know, they shoot and they're gone. What's his name? Stan Gordon. He's a big Bigfoot researcher down in Pittsburgh area, south of Pittsburgh. You guys are maybe fans of UFO or Bigfoot stuff. Stan Gordon has been on History Channel. He's the one that wrote and produced the Kecksburg incident, of that UFO incident down there. And I think there's one still running around. I don't have television, so I can't tell you where to find these things, but it's called The Invasion of Chestnut Ridge. I believe Seth Breedlove, the Small Town Monster series, did a show on that. And Seth's a good one too. There's a good one for you want to learn about paranormal, small town stuff. He has a series called Small Town Monsters. I've seen a few of them. It's really good. He comes and goes all over the United States to these small towns and records and investigates these strange sightings. Now, UFOs, are Bigfoot related to UFOs, ghost stuff, paranormal stuff. Probably the biggest paranormal thing, usually people in the Appalachian area see it. They're called spirit lights, ghost lights, haunt lights. Now they're very thick up in this area. I've never seen one of these lights until I moved up to Pennsylvania. They occur in my yard 2 or 3 times a year. I'm up on the Conowongo Creek. It's a valley. It comes down from Chautauqua Lake there, outlet, and it goes down in the Chautauqua Creek and goes down into Warren and empties into the Allegheny River. And there's a lot of Native American artifacts where my house is like, comes out of the creek, and there's like these little ledges that come up and go up to the higher elevations. Well, where the ledges that I'm on evidently was the shore of the lake, the prehistoric lake at that time. So we found a lot of Native American artifacts in our yard. My wife collects them, and we have a pretty good collection of stuff. A few museum pieces, actually. And it's funny because in the area, and I can see why they call them spirit lights, in the area where we find these artifacts, at least once or twice a year, I see what a glowing orb or a spirit light in the yard, messing around. Over the years, I chased them all over the place trying to get pictures of them. I got one good picture. The guy that I researched with, the guy that's into the DNA stuff, he's got a spot up in New York, and it's crazy. He's like, as many as 100 of these things coming down this one hill. And us researching the area, we found out it's a massacre site where the Erie Indians totally wiped out, or I'm sorry, Seneca Indians wiped out the Erie Indians. And we're pretty sure it's pretty close to where this happened. And it's just really wild. I mean, are these things spirits? What are they? And I see them all the time in my yard, chasing them around. I have friends in the Seneca Nation, and a couple of shamans told me not to touch them. You will be dead. So I don't know if they mean they're a form of ball lightning. If you touch them, you're going to be electrocuted. But their legend is, you see a spirit light, do not follow it. And they think I'm nuts because I follow Sasquatches and spirit lights. And they always laugh at me. They said, "Hey, white man, you carry a gun when you do this?" I said, "Yeah." And they all point and laugh at me. "White man's carrying a gun for spirits." I says, "Well, how do you know it's not for me? If something bad happens, I might have to check out, But, so that's their thing where you see a Bigfoot. The only reason you're seeing him because he wants you to see him. So I don't know if they mean he's cloaking or what. A lot of stuff. I just got a thing last night. A person that lives up in the nation up there sent me this really cool video. And she was taking pictures of these spirit lights. And this thing starts howling. She goes, "Is this a Sasquatch howl?" And I said, "I don't know what the heck that is." The strange thing is, since I've been in that show, I've had like 300 Bigfoot, Sasquatch sightings from Allegheny National Forest area. People come and tell me up by Warren that when I was on the show, I was kind of a celebrity. So everybody seek me out, tell me their story. Doesn't matter, UFO, little people, spirit lights, go tell Dave. So everybody's, "Oh, you got to write a book. You better start writing this stuff down, blah, blah, blah." Which I should. So the spirit light activity, like I said, is an Appalachian thing. People from West Virginia, people from around here, usually grew up in the area, will tell you that they have seen them. They don't know. We don't know what they are. And like I said, strange things like where the mass of these things are. It's like, is it a massacre site? Are these things truly spirits? What are they? A funny thing, I was telling you about that guy from Canada that does our camera work. But we never caught a picture of a Bigfoot. But we caught a lot of spirit lights. And the weirdest one was about 5 weeks ago, I think. So there's a picture of this spirit light coming through the woods on the game cam, and it's red. It's crossing the road, and it's broad daylight. So there's a picture of this red orb coming through the woods. As it's crossing the street, the road, the paved road, it's no longer red. It is a round silver ball. That's what it looks like. And I'm thinking, so maybe these spirit lights are baby UFOs? I don't know. Who knows? That was a pretty cool picture, though. As far as ghost activity, I don't know if it's ghost activity or shadow people. I see things out of the corner of my eyes from time to time. I am a spiritual person, meaning that Ever since a young age, I've always seen ghosts. All my houses that I lived in were old houses, and they all had ghosts. So I see things, I sense things. I can walk into an old building, and I can feel them. And I'll say something if I'm with somebody, like, do you feel that? And people look at me, no. It's kind of like a tingly feeling that works its way up your spine. She's over here nodding, so she evidently has it. So not all people have it. I hang around with a couple of spiritual people because I want them to go with me. What are these Bigfoot things? I'm going to take you over here, and you're going to sit with me by the fire, and they're going to come in. I want you to see what you feel. And so I was on that Finding Bigfoot show. I was up at the Heritage Festival. Anybody you guys know about Lilydale? Okay, Lilydale. So they're like a spiritual palm reader, and they'll tell you things that you didn't know that anybody else knew about you. Very scary. She did one reading after I was on the show. She was at a festival. She says, hey, you have a very strong aura. I want to do your reading. I said, oh, cool. So I go in there, and are you see spirits? And I said, you mean ghosts? I said, yeah, my whole life. She goes, you have a very, very strong aura. You're one of us. And I said, what's that supposed to mean? She says, you are one of us. The spirits are drawn to you because of your strong aura. So for the last 25, 26 years, I've been suffering from fibromyalgic pain. It gets really bad. Nothing you can do about it. Every treatment they tried on me. A couple of them almost killed me. Cleveland Clinic almost killed me. So I just deal with it. But, so we're talking to her, and she's looking at me. She said, oh, you got a real strong aura. And she said, oh, your pain is from a previous life. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Here comes the BS. And she says, oh, you were a soldier in your previous life, and you were horribly mangled in the war, but you lived. And I'm thinking, holy cow, if I feel this bad now, I hate to see what it was back then. And she's looking at me, and she goes, your aura on your left shoulder is a different color. I said, so what does that mean? She says, that means that that pain is from this life. I said, oh, really? And what can you tell me about it? And she's looking at me, and she says, you were hurt in a farm accident. And I look at her. My wife's sitting next to me, and she looks at me, and I says, nobody knows that. How do you know that? They told me about it. I was 16 years old, and my cousin had this devil horse. And it was a big, mean, black Arabian horse, and he was a stud, and he was uncut, and he was meaner than hell. Good around women, he did not like men. He'd bite, kick. I was riding him one day, and he went full rodeo on me. I thought I was gonna die. He's trying to knock me off on the barn. He's trying to throw me on concrete. He was an evil horse. I almost shot him a couple times. My cousin says, you cannot shoot him because you can't afford to pay me what he's worth. So I said, okay, can I just wound him, make him feel bad, But, so I was totally surprised that this woman who I never met pulled this crazy thing right out of the thin air. So there's something going on with the spiritual stuff, And as far as the spirit lights, sometimes I feel something when they're around. So I don't know if it's electromagnetic energy or some sort of other thing that I'm feeling. I don't know. I don't have the explanation. As far as Bigfoot, a lot of people will feel that someone's watching them. And that usually turns out for me to be true. If I look around, I'll start looking around and see what's looking at me. It might be a bear or some other animal, but I get this feeling that there's something behind me, or there's something behind that rock. And you kind of get this feeling. I don't know if it's like an intuition, for being a hunter and a trapper all my years, or if it's part of this spiritual thing that this woman told me that I'm involved with. Another thing, any of you guys out there have O negative blood? Uh-oh. Nope, not you? Okay, so you have the blood of the gods. You do know that, right? It appeared around 3,000 years ago. In the first documented, it was in the Egyptian culture, okay? Egyptian building pyramids, otherworldly UFO stuff. 3,000 years ago, it appeared in Africa. It appeared in the Asia, South American cultures. It all appeared at one time. And all of these, and this is coming from the Lily Dale lady now, all of these cultures, so the scientists are doing this DNA studies of old remains and mummified corpses and stuff. So before that, they never found anything to do with O negative or O positive blood. As far as they're concerned, it did not exist until all of a sudden it just popped up all around the world at one time. So, you know, the thinking is that a lot of these cultures where they do document it are the ones that talk about the gods coming from the sky, you know, Aztec, the Indian, in India over there in their cultures. Read some of their early beliefs about originants and about the gods fighting among themselves. And, you know, they're talking about nuclear wars blowing up a whole town. The whole town just disappeared in a big blast, you know. And space chariots, you know, the chariots of the god stuff. So this is where all this stuff kind of comes in. Now, so I'm talking this stuff at a Bigfoot festival. If Cliff was here, he'd be really mad at me right now. He kind of yelled at me the other, you can't do that. You're diluting the whole idea of Bigfoot and all our scientific studies because you people with your, what do you call it, conspiracy theory stuff. And I said, there's 6 people I can see right now standing around me that has experienced the same stuff that I have. You're telling me that I shouldn't talk about it even though I experienced it. It's just going to be pure Bigfoot. I said, no. I said, I could take you someplace where you'll get the living heck scared out of you because you're not going to know what it is. And I don't know what it is. And I've had people make fun of me, and I take them, it's up by the reservoir. And there's a guy, I don't see him here today. He was here yesterday. His name is Denny Bigelow. He's a local guy. He's got some really weird stuff from up there. And almost like a portal thing. Which brings me to my next story that I just got this morning. I had an elderly guy tell me about, he says, you got to see these pictures I took. And I said, okay, I'll look. Basically, it looks like a portal in the sky. Now, he's taking pictures of his wife, and she's along the, I think, Tionesta Creek. They're up in the woods, and she's taking pictures. She's standing on a rock or something. And behind her, you see like looks like a UFO up there. And then right behind it looks like a hole in the sky, a little dark hole. He says, I did not see this when I took these pictures. Took them home, put them on, you know, big screen, and it's like, oh my God, what is this? And he said, I want to show you this because I heard that you talk about this stuff. I said, yeah. So he showed me the pictures. I said, that is a fantastic picture. He said, I have no explanation. I can't tell you what it is. Question. Yes. Do you have Bigfoot activity in the area? Yes. Shows me pictures of tracks. So, again, Stan Gordon, he has the Bigfoot/UFO connection thing going down there. So, you want to read about that? Some good stuff he has, and he has some videos and stuff out. And again, I believe it's Seth Breedlove, his name is, Small Town Monster series. He has some good stuff, and he explores the weird stuff too. So, and as far as the ghosts and stuff like that. As far as ghost activity, mostly it's old houses for me. Probably the best story I have for me as seeing things, you find yourself an old church and you sit in the back of the old church, and the older the church, the better. And you just sit back in the back of the old church. You can get in there and there's nobody in there. And you just sit in the back of the church and just keep quiet. And you're looking at the altar. Watch the altar. And you'll be sitting there. Now, people say, oh, that's just floaters in your eyes. I see the little fluttering black things. And they're going towards the altar. And we were in a church, and my wife used to clean. Our kids were at parochial school. So we were poor. We didn't really have any money, so she used to clean the church twice a week. And so to pick the kids up, well, my son was in school at the time. My daughter was only 3, I think. So I'm sitting I'm watching. I see this all the time, so I'm sitting there watching. My son, he's running around. He comes up, I don't know, he's maybe 6 or 7. I said, what are you doing, Dad? And I said, I'm watching the spirits. He said, what? I said, there's spirits here. So I said, okay, now sit still and stare at the altar and tell me what you see. The next thing I know, I see him going, looking around. So here's my 3-year-old daughter running around circles being a little girl. And she goes, what are you guys doing? And we're watching spirits, honey. So she sat down, and I told her what to do. Next minute I know she's screaming, crying, and panicking. What's wrong? What's wrong? And they're ghosts, they're ghosts. And I said, calm down, honey. This is a church. This is a very good place to be. These spirits are good spirits. She goes, what do you mean? She says, well, a lot of people come to church to be comforted and get their religious feelings, upbringing. And I said, this is also a happy place. I said, just think about it. Think about, this is an old church. It's over 100 years old. How many hundreds of people were here and got married here? Or the babies were baptized? I'm trying to explain this to a 3-year-old. And she calmed down. And she was sitting there watching. And so the 3 of us are sitting there, and here comes my wife. She's cleaning. And she goes, what are you guys doing? She goes, watching the spirits. She goes, I don't want to talk about it. But anyways, her experiences were that she'll be cleaning, somebody's behind you, or somebody's breathing down your neck, the old ghost type stuff. And I says, so you're not scared? She goes, no. She said, I heard what you told the kids, and I think you're right. So I said, oh, good. We actually agree on something for once, you know? So there's a lot of neat things out there that people experience that can't be explained, and people think you're nuts. And I might be, I don't know what the heck's wrong with me, but I'm telling you what I saw. And I see a few people out there nodding their heads, and yes, we're here, we experienced it. I have too. One friend of mine who's a investigator is an ex-Ghostbuster. Now, I never had a bad spirit. Now, he's had bad things follow him home. And so it was he had to end up getting his house, exorcised. He had the priest come. And it's funny because I hang around with the Seneca shaman. And one of the things he does when there's a haunting and the priest can't get rid of the ghost, it's usually a Native American spirit that our white man religion don't work. So he actually teams up with the Catholic priests and stuff, and they do exorcisms together. And they totally believe in it. They got me believing it. And the shaman's really scary because he's got pictures of the spirits, and it's like, oh my God, what do you see here? I see a little girl dressed in an 1800 style baby outfit. Yes, that's what you're seeing. So what do you see on this picture? I don't see anything. And he'll point it out. Here it's like I don't know if it's pareidolia or whatever they call it. You see this face, just like barely can see it. I said, and this is on a newer camera too. This is not some play with film and double exposure and all that stuff. So he has a lot of strange stuff. He's usually up at the Heritage Festival. So I walked up to him. How I met him, this is really weird how I met him. So I'm doing a history reenactor. I do like French and Indian War outfit, and I tell stories and history and stuff up there. So last couple of years, the guy that runs our longhouse, we have Native American outfits and furs. And we built a longhouse that looks just like the ones the Indians used to use, except they used, back then they had giant trees around here. So you can skin a tree, and that's what they used on top. So you build a shelter out of, it's bent poles basically. 1 and 2 inch poles, sink them in the ground, or you wet them down first, and then you dig them, sink them in the ground. Then you get 2 or 3 big hefty guys, and you pull down on and you bend them. So this structure kind of looks like a Gomer Pyle Quonset hut when you're done. And then, of course, we don't have the big giant trees like they used to back then, so we just put a poly tarp on it. And then we have the benches and stuff and a fire in the middle, and this is how people lived and all this stuff. So a lot of us are historians, so a lot of us have Native American artifacts. So we put the Native American artifacts in there, and one fellow who was a founding member of this festival passed away. And he owned a garage. And what happened was, a lot of people, hard times, didn't have money. He said, oh, what do you got for trade? You owe me $50. What do you got for trade? And he had one heck of a collection of antiques. Old guns, Native American artifacts. So he had these boxes and boxes and boxes of these Native American artifacts. And he donated them to the festival. So first year we put them out. Nobody went through them. We just put them out. People could come and look through them. So one of my friends who's a spiritual person, I see her come in, she's looking at the artifacts. And I'm telling a story to the Seneca school. There's a group of girls from the Seneca school. So I'm telling them some of their own legends and stuff. And I'm standing there talking to them, and I see my friend come in, she's looking at the stuff. All of a sudden, she runs out. I don't know what she's doing. So I'm storytelling, and then next thing I know, here comes the shaman. And I didn't know he was a shaman at the time. He comes in, and I hear him rifling around behind me. And I'm telling this story, and all of a sudden, it feels like somebody stuck a cattle prod on my butt. I get this electric shock, and I'm like, did anybody feel that? And the girls I was telling the story, they thought it was part of my routine, because I was talking about some of their ghost stories and stuff, and they all busted out laughing. And they thanked me for the story, and they were walking out. So I'm, goodbye, goodbye. And I get a tap on the shoulder. It's the shaman. He says, hey, I was listening to you. He says, so this is what I did. See this box here? And he opened it up. When he opened it up, I got that feeling. I said, what is that? He says, look in the box. I'm looking in the box. It's a human hand. It came apart. It was all the bones of a hand. I go, oh my God, that's a hand. And he says, yes. And you felt that. And he says, when you said that, anybody felt that? He says, I opened up the box, and I felt the same thing, and I saw the same thing. He says, you're a spiritual person. You felt that. He says, that's pretty good for a white man. I said, well, thank you. So we're friends now, and he comes up with some stuff that you would not believe. There's some of the locals might know where it's at. Southwest of here, over towards Cook's Forest on private property, there's a place called the Haunted Rocks. And it's a rock formation. And it has a small cave in there. And there's some some carvings on the cave, scratched on the wall. And they've known about that for 200 years. So his buddy, who's an archaeologist, hey, I want you to come with me. I want you to feel this place out. So he goes into the back of the cave, and he says, I'm in the cave, and he sees a group of people, and they're going like this. I said, what'd you do? He said, well, first thing I walked outside and started breathing again, went back in, and then I didn't see him doing this, I just seen faces. So I went walking over there, and he said, I feel something here. So the guy comes out with a very bright flashlight. So looking at him, you don't see him. But if you put the flashlight on the side of the wall, was cave paintings. This cave has been known for over 250 years to the white culture. And they know it as a special place. But nobody ever documented those cave paintings in the back. And the only reason they found them was because he said the spirits brought him like, hey, looky there, look at this. So it's like, cool. He hasn't taken me there yet. I want to go there really badly. So there's 3 people I know that have a real strong spiritual thing. The one, she's an exotic dancer. How do you explain that? She's funny, but I met her at an event. I used to work for a catering company, and we're at this, it's called the Struthers Library Theater. It's in Warren. So it was built in 1888. So it was basically a big theater, an old-time theater, stage and everything. I think it seats 300 people, maybe 250 people. Then upstairs, like second and third floors, was the old library. So it was a theater and library, hence the library theater. The upstairs is haunted, and it's well known to be haunted. So I'm there, and I have a friend with me, and I'm walking upstairs. Let's go upstairs. I want to check this out. So we're going upstairs, and this girl comes along. She says, where are you going? I said, we're going upstairs. And she goes, you're going to go up there and look for haunts? And I said, yeah. She said, I'll come with you. So my coworker was with, we're up there. Me and the 2 girls were up there. And it's funny because I felt that tingle of that jolt. And I went like this, and I looked over at the girls, and the other girl went, she's looking at me, and she's like, did you feel that? And I says, yes, I did. And the other girl said, you just messing with me. And it's no. We both felt this electrical tingle thing. And at that moment, for no reason at all, nobody else up there, 3 books fell off the shelf. One girl says, I'm out of here. So me and this girl were upstairs wandering around. I said, where do you feel this? He says, back in here, back in here. So we don't know. Old librarian. I don't know who was running around up there. And I see some people, nodding like, yeah, I felt that. So that's what happens. So if you see Bigfoots, a lot of people, the Native Americans believe that the only time you see them is when they want you to see them. Otherwise, you don't see them. So, and this place up here where I go, how we do it on time? Okay. So this other, this place here where we go, we have what we believe is a juvenile Bigfoot. And it comes in and it plays with us. It tosses pebbles at us. It looks in the windows. And I think it's the one that's gifting us. And when I'm there, sometimes I can feel something. And the only time my coworkers get there is when I start getting spooky. They start getting like, what's this Yahoo picking up on now? But there's a strange thing, anomaly in that area too. There's a bunch of, I don't know what these are. They're basically a mound of dirt, about 3 feet wide and about 7 feet long, and they look like the old time burials where people were buried and they mounded the dirt over when they buried them. This woods, there's probably 100 of them in that woods, and that's where the spirit lights are at. So I don't know if these things are a lost graveyard or if it's a Native American thing. I surely am not going to dig into it to find out, because my friend, who will be up here speaking later, he'd probably get mad at me if I say anything about his experience. He had so he had this bad, evil, demon-type spirit follow him home from one of his investigations. And what happened, he woke up and going to the bathroom, and he walks by the kitchen, he looks in the kitchen, and all his burners are turned on his stove. Now, he lives by himself. The house is fully locked, and he's got an alarm system. There's nobody in there with him. He's like, what is going on? Shuts them off. A few days later, same thing happens. The third time was he got up to go to the bathroom, and he smells gas. The burners are turned on, no flames. He's going, oh my God, this thing's trying to kill me. So he had some religious people come and do their thing in the house there and exercise it and everything. He hasn't had any problems since. If he knew I was talking about it, he's probably going to say, you're jinxing me. But he got out of the ghost busting. He used to be a paranormal investigator. He got out of it. He figures Bigfoot's safer. So, but I get him out there. Sometimes like with the spirit lights, we have an EMF meter. You know what that is, electromagnetic, and they use them in the ghost busting stuff. He has all those toys. And sometimes just before the spirit lights come, we get, that meter will start pegging, and then we'll start seeing stuff. So they might be electrically charged entities, we don't know. So the same thing when they're ghost hunting, that meter will start reading, it'll start. So we're carrying it around because I want to see if Bigfoot sets it off. But I haven't seen the meter move when we were experiencing Bigfoot activity, so I don't know. We don't know what we're looking at. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know if the Bigfoots are space aliens, or maybe they're pets. Hey, look, stop at that little blue planet down there and let Fluffy out to take a dump, And then, let him out, romp around a little bit. Where's Fluffy? I don't know. Oh, didn't you put him on his leash? No, he's gone. So he's running around having fun, and maybe they come, hey, next time they go past here, hey, there's Fluffy down there. Let's stop and pick him up, So I don't know. I tell that to the kids to get them laughing, because sometimes you talk about stuff, the kids get scared. But anything's possible. I can't tell you what I'm seeing. I can tell you what I'm seeing, but I can't tell you why I'm seeing it and why I'm feeling that way. So that's the paranormal world. And we got to have facts. It's got to be this and that and the other. We don't know. We don't know what we're seeing. We don't know what ghosts are. I mean, there's thousands of videos of ghosts and vocalizations and things that people blame on ghosts. And I got one last night. A lady lives by Witch Mountain up in Seneca Reservation. And she sent me a spirit light picture, and she said, it's a video. And I said, well, yeah, I'd like to see it. She goes, oh, you're gonna like it. So see these two the dots of light in the distance. Then the howl started. And wow, that is a Bigfoot. And she said that, and the Bigfoot and the coyotes are feeding off of each other. So this thing howling back. But that's the area where I have one of my 10, there's like 3 of them in a group up there near Witch Mountain, which is a dog man, which is the werewolf being. And her husband described what he calls a skinwalker up there, but her as being, he's native, she's white. She says, I see it as the rake. And they had a sighting of that in the yard. I said, maybe that's not Bigfoot. Maybe that's whatever that thing is that you saw. And Witch Mountain's got, I could go on for hours talking about some of the stuff that happens on the Seneca Reservation that we don't know about. And the only reason I know because I have Seneca friends. And they tell me stuff because they know I believe them. And then I don't know if they know, maybe they feel that I'm one of them, and they can feel, I feel the stuff that I'm talking, I start talking about this stuff. And yes. So I don't know. No idea. It's a lot of fun. So when you're out there Bigfooting, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, watch what you see, and don't doubt what you see, because a lot of this shadow people and ghost activity or Bigfoot or whatever it is, you'll see something move and like, what did I just see? And people go, oh, get a picture of it with a camera. When you see something, I was 15 feet away from a Bigfoot, across the road in front of me, 2013, finding Bigfoot and the redhead. Why didn't you get a picture of it with your cell phone? I was numb when I saw it. It's like, I never seen one that close. And I'm like, oh my God, And then about 5 minutes after it happened and he walked away, that's when I thought, my cell phone. You just go into shock, and people that take photographs will tell you, you're photographing wildlife. You'll take hundreds of photos just to get that one photo that's good. Or even people that take portraits of people, posing for people. You go in there, sit down, they'll take 30, 40 pictures of you to get that one good picture. So you see a Bigfoot, and all you see is a blur. Oh, that's a horrible, all it is a blob squatch and everything. You're not prepared for it. You see something running, you pick up the camera and you try and take a picture of something running through the woods. I chased a spirit light for 45 minutes around my yard. It tried leading me into the swamp, and I got a picture of it. I'm stopping. I'm not going in that swamp, no matter what. And finally got a picture of it. I took 40 or 50 pictures. I got one picture of it that's clear enough. And the best part is that picture, when you blow it up and look at it, there's a face in the middle of that orb. And it's like, oh my God, the Senecas are right, It is, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm telling you, this is what it does, that's what it did, and that's what it looked like. I can't tell you why. I don't know. So that's it. We good? All right. Thank you for listening for my ramblings. Like I said, we got some more speakers coming. And again, thanks Dave, Yaney, and Susie, right, for organizing this. This is a fun festival. Thank you.
Dave Wargo, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies, let's give it up for Dave. Awesome.